can go to another issue. There, as I said, there are bigger issues than this 12 million. So
but finally, on that, Chair, many of the documents in this Annex 2 are receipts for purchases for the hospitals. Just skimming through some of them, and because you have not paginated, it's difficult for me to refer you to the specific ones. But you will see that in many of those receipts, the quantities of the things being purchased are not present, and as a CPA yourself, you know that that is a bit problematic. I'll give you just 3 examples. So for instance, there is a receipt you have attached here from, I think it's Takawa shop or something like that. It just says 1 cylinder full for gas refilling, 3,000. So would anyone know what size of gas that is? I have seen another one here says 8 pieces of electric bulbs. 8 pieces of electric bulbs. One bulb you're buying at 500 shillings. I don't know what type of bulb that is. Then the last one, Chair, is 1 trip of water tracking to the facility by water bowser. And I have no way of knowing if this is 6,000 liters, 12,000 liters. The receipt doesn't say, but there's an amount there of 15,000. So, Auditor General, when you go through some of these documents, don't just come tell the Senate that the issue has been resolved. You must interrogate whether the documentation that has been presented makes sense. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, that is a risk of coming with mountains of documents to the Senate, because you have brought them to the Senate. And so we have a right to scrutinize and go page by page. In fact, if it was not for efficiency of time, we could sit here up to 10 p.m. going through these documents. But I think, members, the point raised by Senator Sifuna, Senator Chewarke, and Senator Lelegwe, I think for Senator Lelegwe will require a response from the auditor.
Chair, the transfers were made to dispensaries only and not level 4 hospitals. The number of dispensaries are 69 in number.
69 in number, and you told us you have a schedule indicating the amounts that went to every specific hospital.
Yes, Chair, we have shared that to our liaison officer.
I've already shared in the group for the 12 million.
Okay, honorable members, I want us to proceed to undisclosed account payables. Here we are dealing with a huge figure of 1.3 billion. I think that would be a better use of the time of the Senate rather than going through 300 pages of receipts. Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. Undisclosed accounts payables. The statement of financial position reflects trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 3,586,633,121 as disclosed in Note 17 to the financial statements. Included in the balance is an amount of Kenya shillings 1,314,679,336 being additional payables which were not disclosed in the prior year's audited financial statements. Examination of payment records relating to various projects revealed that an amount of Kenya shillings 202,671,502 was paid during the year in respect of projects that were initiated and procured in the previous financial years. However, the pending bills were not disclosed in the prior year's audit financial statements. This is contrary to paragraph 2.2.4 of the National Treasury Circular number that dated 25th June 2019, which requires the disclosures of pending bills to enhance transparency in the management. The circular requires that pending bills movement should be disclosed to provide transparency in the handling of outstanding bills and to facilitate informed decision making, particularly concerning long outstanding pending bills. Thank you, Chairman.
Governor, you may take us through your response.
Mr. Chairman, the payments in question relates to legitimate obligations arising from projects and commitments undertaken in previous financial years under the former county administration. The omission of these obligations from the disclosed list of pending bills was not deliberate but resulted from reconciliation challenges, incomplete supporting documentations, and limitations associated with cash basis reporting framework that was in use at the time of the preparation of the financial statements. Upon subsequent verification, reconciliation, and confirmation of the outstanding obligation, management processed the payments to settle valid liabilities and avoid further delays, accumulation of penalties, interruption of subsidy delivery, and potential litigation risks against the county government. The payments were therefore made in respect of general obligations incurred by the county and were aimed at safeguarding public resources and ensuring compliance with contractual commitments. The county treasury has commenced the implementation of the accrual-based accounting and reporting in accordance with applicable public sector accounting standards. As part of this transition, all pending liabilities and acquired assets are required to be disclosed and recognized appropriately in the financial statements beginning financial year 2024-25. During the transition process, the county treasury undertook a comprehensive reconciliation of pending bills and identified liabilities that had not been disclosed in previous financial statements prepared under the cash basis accounting framework. Management has strengthened their review, reconciliation and reporting processes relating to pending bills to ensure that all outstanding obligations are accurately captured, verified and disclosed in future financial statements. The county treasury has also enhanced coordination with pending departments to ensure timely submission of supporting documentation and periodic reconciliation of liabilities throughout the financial year. Management remains committed to improving financial reporting processes and internal controls to ensure accurate, complete and transparent disclosure of pending bills and to prevent recurrence of similar audit queries in future financial years. Thank you.
Okay, we had the benefit of discussing this with the Auditor General earlier, and we have a big problem with this particular matter, because the Auditor General says that 1.3 billion in the form of pending bills was manufactured in that year, for lack of a better word. They were not disclosed in the prior year, they emerged in the year under review. What is the assurance that these are not manufactured pending bills to the tune of 1.3 billion? Because the issue is disclosure. And from a financial reporting perspective, disclosure and settlements are two different things. You must recognize your liabilities. You must recognize your contingent liabilities. Even if there were 20 billion, you must recognize, you must disclose them. But if you don't disclose and all of a sudden you have 1.3 billion, which is about, is that $10 million? It's actually a round figure when converted to dollars. It might give the impression that someone was looking for $10 million and decided to manufacture pending bills. Now, the Treasury are the ones who came up with that circular. Let's first get the basis of this query before we ask the governor to respond. What is the responsibility of an entity in terms of disclosure of liabilities?
Thank you, Senators. We are talking about contingent liabilities. That is liabilities that might crystallize or they may not crystallize. And therefore, the way to account for them, the prudent way of accounting for the contingent liabilities, first you want to disclose all the liabilities. Then you exhaust the other means that you're using to verify those liabilities. The ones that are verifiable, they are paid. The ones that are not verifiable, they are not paid. That is the position, Honorable Chair.
So can you disclose a lower amount because you think they might not be valid, and then bring them up in the subsequent year?
Chair, you're supposed to disclose all of them, because if you disclose a low amount and in the subsequent years you bring in other figures, then they look strange. So the prudent way is that disclose all of them and know when they crystallize, now you can pay, and you can even be able to explain where they are coming from. Thank you.
And so that's what gives credence to the suspicion that this could be manufactured bills. Governor, you want to respond, or members, you want to put in some questions? Do we first get the governor's response? Okay. Yeah, Governor, you may respond.
Chair, I just want to state a few things. Number one, the allegation of manufacturing of fictitious liability is a very serious allegation, and it has never come up either in the exit meeting or in all the discussions we've had with the auditor. Number one. Number two, we both recognize, myself and the auditors, the specific challenge that Wajir County has had with respect to brought forward liabilities, because the opening balances of 1 year, even in the auditor's financial statements, have never really agreed with the closing balance of payables in the previous year. The assumption of, and we've had this conversation before with this committee, the assumption of office report had 5.6 billion shillings of pending liability. The auditor's own investigation report into pending bills had a totally different number, as low as 300 and something. And our own verification through other independent consultants brought something a bit closer to the figure of 1.7. And even that with a lot of caveats, because the system of procurement had completely collapsed in the period between 2018 and 2022. So what we have done, and there are even actually physical structures for which people had LSOs, but which were not in any of those reports. So what we have done as a county government is to pay what is physically verifiable. Absence of a complete listing of accounting payables, either from the auditor or from the assumption of office report or from the outside consultants. So the approach we took was twofold. Number one, track our own payables from commitment to payment so that we don't add to the problem. And two, deal with the historical pending bills by concentrating on what is verifiable, which is classrooms, dispensaries, water wells, the things that were verifiable. So, because this is a very serious allegation, Chair, what I suggest is, because, the allegation that we manufactured pending bills is very, very serious, that the auditor be tasked with, I'm actually requesting this as governor, investigating the 1.3 that is being claimed we paid and are manufactured. Because each of them must have a name, project name, what it is, where it is. I'm hearing this manufacturing business now. I know there are reconciliation issues on our accounting payables as a result of that historical problem, which has no easy fix.
Governor, you as an FCPN, you know that closing and opening balances ought to tie. It is your responsibility to explain to the Senate how the 1.3 billion came to be. In your written response, you've done prose. You've just written composition. Unless there is clarity on the process that was followed, obviously the Treasury has already told us your responsibility with respect to recognition of liabilities. That was not done properly. If you do not provide a proper explanation, we shall take home the conclusion that 1.3 billion was manufactured. So, Governor, the auditors cannot go back to do an investigation. I think it is for you to explain to this committee the processes, because a lot of numbers, you've given a lot of numbers, 5.6 billion from assumption of office, 300 million from the auditors, 1.7 billion from your own internal analysis. How did these 1.3 then, how are they exhumed and made payable? Because, or are they additions for the year? Auditor General, we need to be clear. Yeah. Is the 1.3 additions for the year, or those are historical liabilities? Let's make that, let's have that distinction.
Thank you, Chair. The 1.3 relates to an historical liability.
So they are historical, because if there are additions for the year, then we shouldn't have a problem. So how did you exhume 1.3 billion worth of pending bills and recognize them as payable? I think that's the question that you must answer and not the Auditor General.
Yeah.
Senator Umbua.
So listening to the governor, I'm left wondering whether then he is disputing this figure. He's saying that he doesn't know about this figure, because even in his responses, he actually doesn't even make an attempt to try and give a breakdown of that figure of 1.3 billion. It's just a statement that he gives. So, Governor, are you disputing that? Are you saying that that figure does not belong to you? It is the work of the Office of the Auditor General?
We consolidate the question so that we are a bit efficient. Senator Cherargei?
Yeah, I find the governor's management response, although you have called it competition, confusing, because in one aspect he says there was issue of reconciliation challenges, incomplete supporting documentation, limitation associated with cash basis reporting. Then on the second paragraph he said, upon subsequent verification, reconciliation and confirmation of outstanding obligations, then they settle valid liabilities. So, Governor, if you are disputing 1.3 billion as being manufactured, or let me not use the word manufacture, it doesn't sit well with you, or being cooked, the 1.3 you are talking about, what was the justification in your second paragraph? That would be question number one. Number two, Governor, through the chair, looking at under 1 year on this 1.3 billion that has been cooked, it's 38%. Looking at over 3 years, it's 1.7 billion, 48%. Looking at aging analysis in note number 17, and it is good you are an FCPA, you have accumulated 52% of the pending bill of 3.5 billion. There is an exponential growth under 1 year of 38%. That is the one we are talking about, 1.3 billion. So in this 1.3 billion, that is, let me look your years that you have been in office, between 2 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years, and 1.5 years. This is 52% of 3.5 billion. This exponential growth makes us believe that this account payables, trade, and other